There's only one place you'll find the Wrestling News Network. It's on the Power Hour. Now, let's go for this week's news to the most respected wrestling newscaster of all, Gordon Solie.
Thank you, and welcome to the Wrestling News Network. Our lead story this week concerns our next big pay-per-view, and it will be the Halloween Havoc. It'll take place October 28th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. May I suggest that you check now with your local cable stations to make sure that you're going to be able to see that fantastic night of wrestling competition. Well, as you know, of course, Terry Funk has been suspended, fined $100,000, and Gary Hart continues to say no, they will not pay the fine. However, Funk is not wrestling. Now, in addition, Ric Flair, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, has called for a special announcement tomorrow on World Championship Wrestling. Be sure to be watching. He says it's going to have a great effect on Terry Funk. We're happy to report that Scott Steiner is back, and we also understand that Robin Green is going to explain her deceitful actions. Some of us were not surprised. In other news, Jake the Snake Roberts is back. He says he wants revenge on the $1 Million Man. And on a sad note, the former Argentinian bull, Eduardo Perez, a former great wrestler, passed away recently in Tampa, Florida. He had been retired for some years. He will be greatly missed by wrestling fans around the world. And now let's take a look at the top 10 in the NWA.
Here is this week's official NWA Top 10. Making his way into the top 10 for the first time, in number 10, it's Z-Man. Number 9 is Norman the Lunatic. Number 8, Dr. Death Steve Williams. Number 7, Sid Vicious. Number 6 is partner Dangerous Dan Spivey. Number 5 is Wildfire Tommy Rich. Number 4, Flying Brian. Number 3 is Sting. Number 2 is the Great Muta. Number 1 is Lex Luger. And of course, the World Heavyweight Champion is Ric Flair.
And now a personal point, if you please. Last week we discussed the possibilities of this NWA fine and suspension on Terry Funk and Gary Hart possibly going to the courts. Well, during this past week, I have talked to Gary Hart's attorneys, and they are deadly serious. They are preparing briefs to be filed, trying to get an injunction against the NWA from the suspension and trying to get the fine lifted. Now, if I may, Gary Hart, speak to you and Terry Funk and others of your ilk, why don't you just pay the $100,000 fine and face it like a man? What Terry Funk did in the ring was reprehensible, exceptionally dangerous, and could have been lethal to Ric Flair, the world champion. Certainly actions like that deserve the reaction from the NWA, and your fine and suspension. Why not pay it and face it like a man, if you can? And that's Wrestling News Network for this week. Welcome back.